Yeah, what do you want? The war we had with the Republic was supposed to be the most glorious battle in our history. But it was a very costly one. I guess we didn't think of how much we could lose in it. There weren't many of us after that last battle. Mandalore himself was killed at the hands of the Jedi Revan. The best of us could not defeat him. After that last battle, those of us that survived were stripped of our weapons, our armor, and our basilisks. Revan's forces destroyed them while we were forced to watch. Those who hadn't fled earlier were left with nothing to call their own. No weapons, no armor, only the honor of having fought in the battle we just lost. For many, this was not enough. While the rest of us were sent into exile on the Outer Rim, they tried to relive the old days, raiding worlds. They're nothing more than bandits now. Yeah, I came to Taris. And forcing for Davik was not stimulating. The gangs on Taris and Davik's rivals were trash. They give no thrill in battle, no honor or glory in defeating them. It was like stepping on bugs. I sought worthy challenges, but the best that Taris could offer were nothing to me. But I think now, with you, I may finally find opponents worth fighting. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Either way, I think that by following you, I can get something out of it. Maybe later I'll tell you more about what it was like to work for Davik. For now, though, we should get on with our lives. Is there something else you want to know? Your choice. I'm here if you want something done right.
Statement. HK-47 is ready to serve, Master. As you desire, Master. Signing off.
Yes. What is it? I was remembering Taris. No, it's all right. I think I am over the worst of it. I apologize again for lashing out at you. It was not your fault. It was a horrible place to have to live. At least in the lower cities where the non-humans tended to get relegated. Living for years in a place with no sun, living off the trash dropped from the upper levels, and the meager pay doing back-breaking labor. My family and I struggled each and every day to make something of our lives. But we could only go so far. Taxes from the corrupt government, more fees from the gangs controlling the streets, and whatever was left paying for what food and medical supplies we could afford. And of course, there was the constant bigotry and hate from the more affluent and human citizens, lording their wealth over us living below. Every once in a while, a rich human would come down through the lower levels with his droid entourage just to see how the wildlife lived, and laughed at the mockeries that were our successes. But I have come to meet many decent humans in my travels since those days. Indeed, some of the greatest people I have ever met are human. The Jedi who encouraged me to join the Order, the one who was with the group going to fight the Mandalorians, she was human. I am sorry. I am getting away from my point. If there even was one. Sometimes, I curse the day my parents fled to Taris. But then again, if they had not, I would not be where I am today. Another story for another time. For now, we must continue our own epic. To save the galaxy, if we can. How may I be of assistance? What is it you would like to speak? Well, I mentioned before that my parents had fled to Taris. Perhaps I can tell you about that. In the early days of the Mandalorian War, there had been fighting closer to the Outer Rim worlds. Cathar was there, yes. My people had a great reputation as warriors, and that appealed to the Mandalore version of honor. They sought to test themselves against us, I think. Test themselves by bombing our world, slaughtering my people while they slept or while they ran. They swooped down from space, across the world, firing at anything that moved. They used ships in space to destroy all orbital facilities and bombard the surface. We did resist, and in spite of their violent attack, we did stave them off for quite a while. But in the end, we were doomed. We were not members of the Republic. Cathar was beyond the edge of the Republic, in the Outer Rim. And besides, they could not have known. Our interstellar communications were the first things the Mandalores hit. All other short-range communicators were jammed. We were on our own. We knew what was coming. We had fought the Mandalorians in the first war against Exar Kun and the Sith. We knew there would be no mercy for us. The most we could do was pack the few of our people who survived onto what few ships remained and send them off into space as fast as they could. Most did not make it. My parents carried me as a baby with them, and were lucky enough to escape. They fled as far as they were able, and eventually settled on Taris. They could stand running no further, I think. But Taris was a horrible choice. Dominated by humans, intolerant of other species, it made everyday life unnecessarily hard. My father turned to stimulants. He spent much of his time in local bars and dives. But we are warriors. It runs through our blood. And when he was on stims, he became foolish. He let his warrior nature get the best of him. So he would get intoxicated, and he would fight. And finally, one day, he would die. Killed by a man who provoked him into a fight and killed him like an animal. I am sorry. I cannot talk about this any longer right now. How may I be of assistance to you? What is it you would like to speak? I have been doing well, I suppose. As well as I can. But I am more interested in you right now. Do not mistake me. It is just that, even though we have traveled together for a while, it seems I know next to nothing about you personally. We have been traveling together since Dantooine, but I know nothing of you before that. Would you humor me and tell me a little bit about yourself? Your job, your childhood, your life? I am sorry if I am making you uncomfortable. I will fully understand if you choose not to answer. I greatly appreciate your taking the time to talk to me. How did you come to be on Dantooine? Besides the obvious, of course. Taris. It always seems to come back to Taris for me. I am sorry. I get distracted. What did you do before that? A life in the army. Not my career of choice, though. We Cathar cannot seem to adjust to regimented organizations like the military. But I have heard that it appeals to males of your species. Fighting? Defending? That is what we as Jedi seem to be called upon to do. Perhaps we are not as unalike as I had previously thought. But again, I seem to be wasting your time with my carrying on. I apologize. I have been watching you for some time. I wonder if you have noticed. I have been thinking of how far I had fallen, and how you exemplify the code of the Jedi. I find myself ashamed. But I have so little to show when I compare myself to you, and that makes my shame even worse. That I had so easily fallen to the dark side, that I could convince myself that by injuring my master, I became a great force of evil in the galaxy. For my pride, my hubris, for the inner rage that all of my species feels. Sometimes I wish that I had not been born this way.